Hi guys, this is just a little follow-up video really, this diesel, Chinese diesel heater that it would seem not hundreds but thousands of people are fitting in the workshops, the garages and some even in the homes. I know a bit of background about them, probably most of you know, but they actually were designed for camper vans and motorhomes and night heaters. The Eberspacher one and there's the other one in the expensive ones, and they went into wagons, you know, your Arctic, your sleeper overnighters. They all have a little I think they're 2 kilowatt one in night heater, and they just leave them running all night. But there's been a lot of comments from various different avenues that I'd like to just address. So we'll start in here. One is, I have the diesel tank by the door, which you've seen on the videos. Somebody said, you know, it could hamper your egress, which is your exit. Now, I have got two exits. I've got a door there and I've got a door over there. One goes into my garage and I can exit out to outside from there of this one. But why? The question is why? Now, if this was a petrol heater and that were 10 litres of petrol, it wouldn't be in here. I can guarantee you it wouldn't be in here. But it's diesel. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to light diesel, but if you pour some diesel on a floor and throw a match at it, the match will go out. It will not ignite. If you pour some diesel onto a piece of cloth or let it soak into some wood maybe and light it, with the wood it'd take a bit to catch. With the cloth it'd probably light straight away and start to burn. I'm a bit confused because it's by the doorway. There's people talking about I should move my pickup pipe into the top because it comes out of the bottom. It comes out of the bottom on a fitting that's for a tank to come out of the bottom. It's got neoprene seals inside and out, and it's nipped up and it doesn't leak. They're saying it could leak. Now, if it started to leak, from my many years of experience of fuel lines and various other things, if it started to leak, it'd drip. It won't snap off and just come pouring out and 10 litres all over my floor. If it did, so what? So I come in one morning and there's 10 litres of fuel run all over my garage floor. It's not on fire. And it won't set on fire unless I decide to throw a load of cloths on it and light them. There is no fire hazard. I don't know, I don't understand the logic of someone who's telling you that you're blocking like a fire exit. Right above that, I've got a fire extinguisher. Right to the side of it, I've got a carbon monoxide sensor. There is no carbon monoxide in here and it can't get in here. If anybody doesn't understand one of those heaters, I suggest they look into them and see that the fire burns inside a core. That core is completely sealed. Some said, well, what if it cracks? Now, I had an Eberspacher for years and years, and this isn't an Eberspacher, it's a cheap Chinese one. An Eberspacher's 1,500 quid. This were 179 quid. A lot of difference, yeah, there is a lot of difference. And yeah, I suppose there could be failures. I don't know of any that have failed and cracked the jacket, I don't know. I've certainly not heard of anybody that's had a fire from one of them heaters. Now, in camper vans and motorhomes, and I do have a little experience of this because I have had a few camper vans that I've repaired, write-off ones that I've repaired and resold. But my son-in-law, I can't tell you the company name because they might not appreciate it being on YouTube. They're in Leeds and they build custom camper vans, and some of them are stunning. And they're all built from wagons, from buses, you could say. So they'd get a Fiat Ducato long wheelbase high roof van, take the back doors off, have a new casting made in fiberglass and put a smaller thing with all windows in, no doors, side, big sliding door, that comes off, a big fiberglass moulding goes in there with a caravan door, and inside, absolutely stunning. Of course they've got to be, because they vary from about 60 to 80,000 pound. A lot of those have got the Eberspacher heater in. Now, there is a couple of camper van companies on YouTube, if you found them. They have done some tests on the Eberspacher against a Chinese one. Now, only thing they could knock on it, well, two things, was they took it out, the core unit, out of the housing, and the aluminium fins on it, the heat exchange, a little bit rough, and said a bit sharp, but you never go in there, so it doesn't matter. And the other thing was the ECU is on top of the burner, which proves it doesn't get that hot. It's on top of the burner, but it's upstream of the airflow, so it gets the cool air past it continually. And the only thing they could knock was it looked exactly the same as an Eberspacher one, but the plugs that plug onto the PCB board underneath on the Eberspacher and that other one have got a rubber seal round, so they're like waterproof. The Chinese ones don't, they're just like a PCB type plug and socket, and they just clip on. Nothing wrong with them, but I mean, I suppose if you were going to fit one into a really wet environment, I don't know, somewhere you were steam clean, I've no idea what environment that'd be, then yeah, you probably would want to get an Eberspacher. But this company have been fitting them into people's vans, they do camper van conversions, lovely ones too. And they ask the question to the customer, do you want a genuine Eberspacher or would you like a Chinese one? The difference being 1,500 quid to a couple of hundred quid. And a lot of people are doing these on a shoestring and they've gone for the cheap Chinese one. Now, they said that they've had no comebacks. They've been doing this for 3 years and they said they've had no comebacks whatsoever. Now, if you see how they're fit, now, there's two ways of fitting them. One is in a space, an area where there's nothing and they're down to the floor. However, there's always a floor covering. But a lot of them are in a cupboard, like under a kitchen. And they're cut through the bottom of the kitchen, 3 or 4 inch hole. And then they drill right through the bottom of the truck, wagon, and they fit it all on there. Now, there's a steel plate comes with them, which I used to make a bracket, so mine's up in the air, well away from the worktop. Now, the ones that they're fitting, they're clamped down onto the wooden shelf, the bottom shelf. They're actually clamped onto the timber through with a steel plate and a gasket, and then nuts underneath. And then underneath, they come out with the exhaust pipe and the inlet and the fuel hose. That goes under the van and away it goes. I don't think any of them have set on fire. That's on wood. I don't have mine on wood. Mine's about 6 or 7 inches above an MDF shelf, which somebody said, yeah, an MDF shelf's dodgy. Now, I did, in fairness, go to my car accessory shop day after New Year's Day, I think it was, and I bought a roll of exhaust wrap, heat-proof glass wrap, and I've put that on the exhaust pipe because they do get really hot. The shelf, I asked him if he'd got any small fire mats and he said, no, I'm out of them, they'll be here in a couple of weeks. So when I next go, I will buy one of them fire mats and lay it down. However, I've been in there just a few minutes before I started this video, just to see how hot it was, that shelf, and it's clapped cold. The exhaust pipe's up here, my hand's on the shelf, all over it, clapped cold, no heat whatsoever. So it ain't going to set on fire now. Only way it could, I suppose, is if it started dripping diesel and somebody went in there and kept flicking the lighter on it. I don't know. But I don't think it'd self-ignite because the exhaust, I can touch the wrap. Also, I did put a steel tube through the wall, not a massive one. And it was one of these. I've got a couple of these that I bought when I was doing some work on exhausts. And it's a piece of exhaust tube, steel, and my exhaust goes through that. So I cut a 4.5 inch length, because my wall's 4 inch thick, and that's pushed in through the wall. And then the exhaust wrap is all in there as well. So it's well insulated. But my garage, sorry guys, is not made out of wood. It's made out of these steel panels, as you all know. And it's made of non-combustible insulation. So if I just run the exhaust pipe straight through the wall, it wouldn't have caught fire because it's non-combustible, the material. But, you know, I did put a tube through, I did put insulation in it. So a lot of people have knocked them and said all sorts of crap about planning permission and flaming, putting tanks outside, all sorts of rubbish. But I've had it running now for quite a few days. I came in here tonight, I think it was 7:15. It's 10:05. I came in here at 7:15 to do some more on the lathe steady rest that I'm doing project on. And I put my heater on straight away, and I think it was 10 degrees when I came in. It's not cold outside. It's been spitting and raining. It's not freezing. And I think it was something like 10 degrees when I came in. It's up now at 19.6. It's toasty warm. Well, you can see I've taken my jacket off and rolled my sleeves up. It's toasty warm in here. It's lovely. I might say it's gone up to that temperature over a degree more than what I wanted it at, because I've got it on as slow as it'll go on the pump, and as slow as it'll go, the heat in here keeps rising, which does prove it's well insulated garage because it keeps rising. And I've heard people with motorhomes say the same thing, that through the night they have a problem, they have to turn it off and then it goes freezing cold and they have to turn it back on again and fire it back up because it gets too warm. When they get to the set point, it slows down as much as it can, but it's not slow enough. Some people say if you slow them down too much, the hertz of the pump, as in down to 0.8 and 9, they can get a bit coked up. How true that is, I don't know, but mine's running at about 1.4 at the moment. And the fans drop right back, it's just blowing, it's lovely. They just have a feel. That's toasty warm, absolutely lovely. And I'd said I was going to get some thermometers. I did, I bought 2 little digitally things. Now one's saying 76, one's saying 83%, that's humidity. However, about 10 minutes ago, they both were reading the same. One says 17.9 degrees, one says 18.3. Again, a while back, they were both the same. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, I've had it sat on my phone, so that could be why, I don't know. But they're not that far out from each other. So my idea was one high up, one low down, and I will do that at some point. How much fuel have I used? I can't tell you how much it is to run an hour. All I know is that fuel I've got there cost me £1.60 a litre. It's used less than a litre tonight. And I've been in here since, what, 7:15. So I fired it up, let's say 7 o'clock, it's just after 10. So it's run for 3 hours solid. And it's got this place up to temperature and it's lovely. So it's cost a litre to run for 3 hours. Is that expensive? £1.60 for 3 hours? Don't know. I think it's a bit cheaper than electric, quite a bit cheaper. I'm isolated from the house so now. I can see, and all I've got running in here now, apart from lathe and milling machine, is there's 2 lights in here, and they're LED. They're probably 25 watt each. So, but I've no electric heating at all now. I've taken it all away. I've got one up there just in case. But no, brilliant. Anybody thinking of buying one, I won't hesitate. They're lovely, they're great. They don't take a lot of fitting, they're not hard to fit. The only thing you need is a battery or a power supply. I've used a 15 amp power supply. I think it might have been £15 or something like that from eBay. If you've got an old car battery, bang a trickle charger on it. That'd be the only problem I'd worry about, is if you left a trickle charger on it. A lot of battery chargers that have got trickle on them is actually overcharging the battery if you leave it on for more than 24 hours or whatever time if you put a voltmeter on. You don't want your battery voltage going up to like 15 plus volts continually, because it'll boil the battery, it won't do it a lot of good. I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 3 battery chargers in there on my vehicles, but they're proper Optimates. So I've got an Oxford one just behind the wall, it's on my car, it's plugged in my boot. I've got one on an old classic bike that I bought a brand new battery for nearly 3.5 years ago now, and it's not turned a wheel because I've never finished it. But I put an Optimate on that, and then I've got a genuine Optimate on my Ducati, and that's been on since I bought it in 2017. The battery's still like new, but they're called optimizers. They're not called battery chargers. They monitor the battery, and if it needs it, it'll tickle it. If it doesn't need it, it don't give it. Whereas some of these I think your newer battery chargers are probably okay, but the old type ones with transformer and diodes and stuff in, just be careful because you might end up boiling your battery. Mr. Factotum's workshop, Kev, he were asking other night on YouTube if anybody had got any experience with him. He's got his running on a battery and a battery charger. But yeah, a battery charger is fine. If it's a late model type one, it cuts off, and if the battery voltage drops below a certain threshold, it'll cut back in again. They'd be fine. Okay guys, so that's just a finisher really. That's these later done with. But yeah, would I do it all again? I certainly would, definitely. It's not too noisy. I've got it next door. It's on now. I mean, I'm talking to, I'll have microphones here, isn't it? But I'm talking to you. Well, in fact, microphone's here. I'm going to walk next door and I'm just going to give you an idea. How noisy it is. So this is the air. You can hear that. The noisiest bit is my recirc up there. Right, the unit's in here. Oh yeah, what I've just been talking about. Let's prove it. Just put that down. Put camera probably there, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Ah, battery's going flat. Sorry guys, I'll have to change your battery. Right, new battery in. Okay, I've put some light on as well in there. Unit. You see that? That's the heat outlet. It's nice and toasty. It ain't gonna burn nobody. The inlet. Just ambient. This frame, what I made. It's on this. I did say that I would put a fire mat under here eventually, but put my hand under here. That's where the exhaust is, if you can see the exhaust. If not, I'll zoom into it. No heat. It's only ticking over, so it would be cooler than it would be if it was on high heat, but not an issue. Don't have any issues with it. The issues are self-inflicted, what people think. The trouble is, human beings, we're all the same. We all have a different idea of what we think's good and bad and wrong and right. And if we've worked at the old ISO 9000 or whatever and we've been an health and safety officer or something, we'd just go crazy. I used to work at big blue chip companies, so I used to do a lot of health and safety work for them, and it was just amazing. If you run up 2 steps at a time, you got into trouble. Okay, the pump. That's the pump here. You can hear that. But once this door's shut, it's not that loud. Just turn my light off. So there you go guys. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope if you fit one, you have success.